Welcome all you lovely people to another r/entitled parents video. Our first story of the day is by Kitty the Shark, entitled Mother Demands My Prize Money. Where I worked, we would have a holiday party where we could play games to win money. The way it worked was everyone would win at least $5. Well, one of the games was a speed round question type thing. Think Family Feud style. One of my coworkers who was playing against me loudly commented that she would freak me out and win. It's easy, I'm no competition, etc. She was so focused on making faces at me and trying to act tough, she completely missed the question. I answered correctly and she was out of the game. She loudly complained it wasn't fair and sat sulking. I won the top prize, and she came up to me demanding I give her the money because she's a single mother and needed that money for Christmas gifts for her children. She then went on saying I'm horrible, don't need that money, I must hate children, their Christmas is ruined and it's all my fault, etc. She even tried to grab at my pocket where my wallet was. Our boss told her to back off. She also tried to rally other workers against me. It didn't work and she was written up. For months, I was called a selfish, child-hating witch by her for not giving her the money. My prize money amount? $40. Before all this, she was bragging about all the stuff she and her baby daddy bought for the children, including new phones and gaming consoles, so yeah, she didn't need it. Be honest, when it comes to games like this, would you say you tend to be a sore loser? Let me know in the comments down below. For me, if it's something that I genuinely want to win, I can definitely feel a little beat up internally, but I wouldn't be the kind of person that would pout and make other people feel bad. Our next story is by Queen Wilco 80, entitled Grandparents' Horrible Life Revealed During Custody Battle. My husband and I met almost 11 years ago. At that time, he had not known where his only son was and had not seen him for 2 years. Before the disappearance, hubby had been involved daily in taking him to daycare and even the mom to work, until her boyfriend was arrested and transferred to another state for charges he had there. Hubby sold his motorcycle to help her pay bills, but instead, she packed up and took off to use that money to bail him out and live in the state he was transported to. He tried for months talking to her parents, but they claimed they didn't know anything. We married right before his deployment, and I decided to start a search, hoping he'd be allowed contact with his son before deploying. Was able to find her and discovered she was back in state and had abandoned their child with her parents. She allowed him visitation only if we paid for his birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, so we did this gladly. My husband remained in contact daily until his deployment overseas. He continued to try calling when he had access, but they would not answer and eventually changed their number again, so he no longer had access. We'd find out later that they were also telling him his daddy didn't want anything to do with him. I continued to monitor her social media, and right before hubby's return, discovered that she had several charges in different counties and was on the run. So as soon as he returned stateside, we filed custody. We also discovered she had abandoned her infant with her brother in another state, as her parents refused to take him and had called CPS to pick him up. They only wanted the child she had with my husband because he was paying support. Through this process, I had been angry at my husband because he never fought for his rights. But what I learned, and what most men feel, is that he believed he had no rights and done whatever they wanted. He and his family would have to pay support in order to have any type of visitation with SS. He didn't know that he could go to court and file for his rights, as most men don't. The grandparents were both druggies who eventually dragged their daughter into it, and they tried pawning her onto my husband because her habit had become too much for them. When he discovered their lifestyle, he left and she showed up a few months later, pregnant. At the time of filing for custody, they awarded the grandparents temporary custody during transition because the mother was a wanted fugitive and could not be involved. Our state doesn't even allow grandparents' rights, but judges here will give over custody to grandparents before they will a dad because they want the government funding they get from collecting child support from dads. We went through a year and 3 months battling a judge that hates men and straight up told my husband his military career made him look unstable, so she'd never turn over custody to him. So he gave up his military career. In this year and 3 months, these people would break every court order put in place and have zero responsibility for them. They wouldn't use a car seat, they were doing drug deals around him, he stayed sick due to the cigarette smoke in the house, they refused legal visitation time and took off out of state to hide him. They wouldn't take him to school. They allowed the mother to be in the home even though there was a no-contact order in place for her. Being determined and maybe a little psycho when it comes to my kids, I'd managed to find things our attorney could not. We discovered he didn't have a bed there because they had too many people living in the home. We found he had an STD at one point which caused CPS involvement. They were abusive to their other grandson, calling him names and beating him when they'd visit because he was autistic. And they themselves had been arrested for making and selling meth. And the grandfather had been arrested for beating the grandma. The drug charge was not publicly known. I'm guessing because they ratted. However, there was a case in figuring out what to legally do with the property that was forfeited after the arrest. I found this and proof of the bio mom being allowed in the house that resulted in us getting temporary custody. A year and 1 month in, and the grandparents failed a drug test. The daughter had twins that were taken by CPS immediately after birth due to drug use while pregnant and her current fugitive status. Still, the judge refused to give over custody to a willing and able father. Our attorney, also prior military, put pressure on the judge, and we had sent a complaint to the state Supreme Court, along with every single state official detailing how this judge was doing everything against the laws in our state. Eventually, she couldn't take the pressure and gave us custody. It came out that she was hoping the bio mom would get her legal stuff in order and she could give over custody to her instead. In August of 2013, we brought our baby home permanently. However, we were forced to give the grandparents visitation. That lasted until March of 2014. They continued smoking around him, making him so sick he wound up on multiple medications. They took him to do drug deals, which he told his counselor about, and also told him he wasn't my husband's son and they were going to get custody back, resulting in lots of nightmares. They'd also been telling him my husband never loved him or had anything to do with him, which took weeks in counseling and pictures proving otherwise. They put this boy through heck. His teeth were rotted out of his head, and at 4 and 5, he spent his life in front of 2 TVs with cartoons and video games. He only ate fast food and pop and was too weak to pedal a bicycle. He watched his mother get beat and a knife to her throat, and then she'd disappear for hours to go do drugs, leaving him at 3 to care for an infant. They mentally abused him and used him for child support. The last time he came home reeking of cigarettes so bad, it threw my older daughter into an asthma attack, and that ended their visits. The things they told him and done have trickled out throughout the years. He remembered one of the times we were refused visitation was because she had taken him and hid in a hotel. He watched her steal things from stores, and she was arrested 4 times at their house through all of this. Yes, I called and reported it every time. These horrible people have not been a part of his life since then. Bio mom has done a stint in prison and is once again running from new charges and her probation. He will be 14 this year, and he's very needy with me because I make him feel loved and safe. This child is one of the biggest blessings I have ever had. He's so thoughtful and kind and tries to take care of me. His father is scared to let him go anywhere away from us because of the trauma, that not knowing where he was caused and then hearing what all he went through in that time. I've never met more horrible people in my life, nor have I ever imagined how resilient he would be after going through it. He is so very smart and special and a gift I thank God for daily. We both agree that even with my husband's deployment, which was a pretty bad one, this was far worse than anything else. We've spent years now fighting for fathers' rights across the country and have been part of some law changes in our state. We have to inform men of their rights. We have to give them the resources because children deserve both parents. It's disgusting how much it costs them in legal fees just to be a parent, and maybe one day it won't be necessary. We have people working on the government level to change the laws that created this inequality. My husband is an amazing father. Not only did he raise my 3 children from a previous marriage, but we have done youth and college-age ministry together, giving kids a family where they didn't have one before. We've provided a home, food, insurance, gas money, and phones. He will never stop caring and loving those that were abandoned. There are so many men out there that are amazing fathers, but don't get the chance to be. They take their lives daily. They have everything taken from them and are financially ruined when all they want is to love their kids. Children deserve custody of both parents. Alienation has to stop. Our now 14-year-old is our youngest. That may have been the worst thing we've ever gone through, but I'd do it again for him. I will never not fight for my kids, and I will never not fight for other fathers going through this. If you know one, check on them, hook them up with groups that can help give information and encouragement. Courts are not fair, and men feel the loss of their children the same as a mother. They're hurting and grieving daily for a child that is still alive. They are losing hope and giving up. They're being made to feel guilty if they stop fighting because they're tired and broke. It's emotionally draining and leaves you completely depleted. These men eventually believe that it would be better for their kids if they walk away. They don't want them in the middle of the fighting anymore. Maybe the ex and judges convinced them they're not worthy, so their kids would be better without them. This story was definitely a roller coaster, but it got right to the heart of the problem that these custody battles in court can be extremely messy. And although it is getting better slowly bit by bit, there is a bias against fathers in custody situations. You can only really hope that we as a people continue to progress on these issues and make sure that fathers who want to be there for their children and be in their child's lives have that opportunity to do so. This story was incredibly inspiring. And our final story of the day is by Gas Mask Gary, entitled "Mom Wants Me to Give Her Son an Expensive Gundam Kit for Free?" For context, I work at a store that specializes in Japanese imported items, such as toys, gadgets, and electronics. And all of it is good quality for a good price, but sometimes we get imported very high-end stuff. So to compensate for how much the shipment costs, we have to boost the price. In this story, a whiny brat wants a Gundam building kit that is around $50 to $100. I can't remember the price exactly. Here's how it went down. I was at work sketching and waiting for someone to come to my register. I doodle a lot, at home or on the job, as at the time, I was doing this job during mid-high school to early college where I majored in art, specifically in cartoons and animation. I still work at the shop today because of my nice coworkers, boss, and the calmness of the place. And then, some arrogant-looking mother with bad fashion taste walks in with her bratty weeaboo son. I think nothing of it, as people like this walk in all the darn time. But things start getting bad when he whines about wanting one of the more high-end Gundam Figma build kits near the display shelf in the back. They come to the register after arguing over which one to get. They decided on a highly coveted unicorn Gundam with a metallic yellow/gold look on the plastic. The entitled mother says, "Hello there, sir. We would like to purchase this toy." I say, "Okay, let me scan this for you." I proceed to do so, and it popped up as a low-end $15 product that looked similar but was obviously different. I had a look of confusion on my face. "What's the darn hold up? It's my son's birthday and I don't want to ruin it for him." I say, "Well, this product has the wrong price tag. It's coming up as $15 instead of $40. "Well, it's just a toy. It's not worth much. Come on, just go with its current price." I say, "Well, if I do, I'll get fired, and you might get arrested once my boss finds out." The entitled brat says, "Mom, I want the cool robot." The entitled mother says, "Shut up, sweetie. Mommy's talking to the big greedy man here." At this point, you can see how pissed I was, so what I did was I went to the shelf it was on and scanned the other box of the same kit, and what do you know, it was $40. So I told her, and she flipped. She called me things that I would not like to type out, as it might get me in trouble with the mods for racial slurs. Entitled mother with boiling blood, "You piece of subhuman trash. You are ruining my little boy's special day. I just wanted to buy him a cool toy that he actually wants." I just sat on my chair while she yelled at me, cranked up my tunes on my Bluetooth earbuds, and didn't listen. I wasn't gonna take crap from her. Eventually, she left me alone and went back to the shelves. Minutes later, she leaves, but the alarm goes off. These stupid people tried to shoplift and got caught. They put the Gundam kit back and were taken in by the cops. I don't know the rest because I wasn't there, but I haven't seen them since, so maybe they were banned. I think obviously they did get banned after something like that, but I feel like they also just have way too much shame after that experience to ever try and show face there again. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.